Kratos is often treated as an aging warrior whose greatest days are behind him, but the Norse Saga demonstrates the exact opposite. This version of Kratos wrestles creatures capable of tearing holes between dimensions, defeats a god whose strength can splinter time, overwhelms an opponent who can see attacks before they happen, and physically forces his way inside a primordial realm that was never supposed to admit him. Forcing open Valhalla, one of Kratos' most overlooked strength feats, occurs at the beginning of Valhalla. Valhalla is not an ordinary building with a large physical door. It is an ancient supernatural realm with its own rules, judgments, and control over everyone who enters it. Kratos receives an invitation, but he refuses to wait for the correct ritual.
He approaches the sealed entrance, places his hands against it, and forces it open through raw physical strength. When Freya and the Valkyries discover what happened, they are visibly shocked. Freya asks how Kratos even passed the gate. Kratos calmly answers that he forced it open, prompting Mjolnir to emphasize that he did it with his bare hands.
The reaction matters. These are Valkyries who understand Valhalla better than almost anyone. They guide souls into the realm and operate according to its laws. Yet even they did not believe someone could simply overpower its entrance. Valhalla immediately strips Kratos of his external equipment and magical advantages after he enters, punishing him for crossing its boundary incorrectly. He physically breached the boundary of a primordial realm that actively enforces restrictions upon anyone entering it. The door was Valhalla's first rule. Kratos' bare hands were stronger. Breaking Valhalla's trial. Forcing open Valhalla's gate is not the only time Kratos resists the realm's authority. During one of his trials, Valhalla recreates a painful memory involving a sacrificial cage. The realm places a projection of Mimir inside the cage and constructs a scenario in which Kratos is expected to complete the sacrifice. Once the mechanism activates, the trial is presented as irreversible. Kratos refuses to accept that outcome. He grabs the cage and physically breaks it apart, freeing Mimir from a punishment that Valhalla itself created. The entire environment immediately begins destabilizing. The constructed reality collapses, and Kratos and Mimir fall into the chaotic space beneath the trial. This cage was not an ordinary object brought into Valhalla from the physical world. It was a manifestation generated by the realm as part of a supernatural memory trial. Its function existed within Valhalla's rules, and Kratos destroyed it anyway. At the highest interpretation, Kratos did more than bend metal. He physically overpowered a construct created and maintained by Valhalla's reality, forcing the realm to abandon the outcome it had built around him. This does not automatically mean Kratos can punch any abstract concept out of existence, but it demonstrates that even inside a realm where reality responds to memory, judgment, and spiritual law, Kratos' physical power remains capable of producing effects the realm did not anticipate. Splitting the land with Baldur, a god protected from physical and magical harm. During their battles, Kratos and Baldur repeatedly generate enough force to destroy enormous sections of the surrounding environment. In their final confrontation, the two gods lock their arms and push against one another. The pressure beneath them becomes so intense that the solid ground splits apart, creating a massive fault through the land. Neither god uses a weapon to create the fracture. It is produced by the opposing force of their bodies. The feat demonstrates that Kratos' basic pushing and grappling strength can release force on the scale of a major geological event. And this is not Kratos performing an uncontrolled attack with all his weapons. It is a physical contest between two gods attempting to overpower one another. When Kratos finally stops holding back, he defeats Baldur in direct combat. Baldur's curse prevents the damage from becoming permanent until the mistletoe breaks his protection, but it does not prevent Kratos from physically dominating him. The invulnerability keeps Baldur alive. It does not make him stronger than Kratos.
Regenerating his body.
Kratos' power is not limited to the amount of damage he can produce. His body can recover from extreme punishment within seconds. During his first battle with Baldur, Kratos is struck through trees, crushed beneath stone, thrown across the environment, and repeatedly attacked by another god. After the battle, his body is covered in deep wounds and severe bruising. Kratos concentrates, forces his body to regenerate, and visibly closes the injuries. The damage begins disappearing almost immediately. This is not passive healing that requires hours of rest. Kratos consciously activates it through his divine will and restores himself while remaining ready for another fight. Although the scene does not provide a medical description of every injury, Kratos clearly recovers from damage that would incapacitate or kill an ordinary being. Defeating Kratos therefore requires more than briefly overpowering him. An opponent must produce enough damage to completely overwhelm a god who can repair his body during the battle itself. Wrestling Garm. Garm is not simply an oversized wolf. The creature possesses the ability to bite and claw open tears between realms. When Garm escapes Helheim, its movements damage the boundaries separating different dimensions. Each tear allows creatures, energy and matter to pass from one realm into another. Kratos confronts Garm physically. He catches and redirects its colossal paws, resists its jaws, uses the blades of chaos to bind its limbs, and prevents the creature from simply crushing or swallowing him. The spatial tears are produced through Garm's supernatural nature, so Kratos does not automatically inherit dimension cutting power simply by wrestling him. But the physical comparison remains extraordinary. Kratos can contest the body of a primordial creature large enough to damage the structure between realms merely by attacking its surroundings. Garm cannot physically overwhelm him. Kratos withstands the force of its jaws, pulls against its full body weight, and eventually restrains it long enough for Atreus to provide a permanent solution. Overwhelming Heimdall's foresight. Heimdall presents a completely different problem. Raw strength means nothing if Kratos can never land a hit. Heimdall can perceive another person's intentions before that person acts. He reads their movements, thoughts, and emotional reactions quickly enough to avoid attacks before they are completed. He can also use Bifrost energy and realm shift, allowing him to manipulate the speed of combat around himself. This makes Heimdall functionally untouchable. Kratos begins the battle using the Draupnir spear, placing multiple explosive weapons throughout Heimdall's environment. The detonations force Heimdall to process threats coming from different locations and at different times. But the spear only creates the opening. Kratos is the one who takes advantage of it. As the battle continues, Kratos increases his pace, changes his combinations, and adapts to Heimdall's reactions. During their close-range exchanges, Kratos' attacks become progressively faster and less predictable. Eventually, Heimdall sees Kratos' fist coming, but still fails to move quickly enough. Kratos strikes him directly. After the first hit, Heimdall begins losing control of the battle. Kratos' experience, reflexes, and combat momentum overwhelm the advantage provided by foresight. Heimdall can perceive what Kratos intends to do. That knowledge stops mattering when Kratos can continuously alter his attacks and execute them faster than Heimdall can produce an effective response. Kratos does not possess foresight of his own. He defeats foresight through superior combat adaptation. Stopping Mjolnir. Mjolnir is one of the most powerful weapons in the Norse realms. Thor can summon it back to his hand, channel enormous quantities of lightning through it, and use its impact force to kill giants significantly larger than himself. Kratos repeatedly contests the hammer directly. He catches it, redirects its flight, and physically prevents it from immediately overpowering him. Stopping Mjolnir in mid-flight is especially impressive because the hammer carries both its own magical propulsion and Thor's strength behind it. Kratos is not simply lifting a stationary object. He is intercepting a divine weapon, accelerating toward him with enough force to demolish almost anything in its path. And Kratos does this without possessing Mjolnir's enchantments or controlling its movement.
So, is Kratos the strongest god in God of War's Norse Saga? Based on the highest interpretation of his Norse feats, yes, he is the strongest because the Norse Saga repeatedly confronts him with supposedly absolute powers, and Kratos consistently finds a way to overpower them. Let me know your opinions in the comments, and like and subscribe for more God of War lore and power scaling explained.